Namaskaram, I am Arjun Amitrajyoti and you are watching my book blogging channel. Today we are talking about a book called The Ethical Slut. This is the book. You can see that. It is written by Janet W. Hardy and Dorsey Easton. So, as the name suggests, uh, it's explaining about the ethical way to be a slut. Slut is a derogatory term usually used for women who has tendencies to be adamant in what they want, who says what they want, who is very, visible in their sexuality, who talks about sexuality, who says that uh, pleasure is something, talking about pleasure or seeking pleasure, or consciously deciding that a person has to have pleasure is something that is very normal, that is very that is something very vital. If a girl is saying like that, she suddenly becomes a slut, a derogatory term. That's why they have owned it. They here the writers who are self-proclaimed polyamory in the sense, they are in multiple open relationship with multiple people. It's not polygamy. There is a difference between polyamory and polygamy. Polygamy means multiple sexual relationship. Polyamory means multiple romantic relationship. There is a huge difference there. As you already know, doesn't mean that if two individuals are having sex or they are they are physically connected, doesn't mean that they have to be mentally or spiritually or socially or culturally, or any kind of value has to be connected. In India right now, there is a huge the mindset is like that. If somebody that sexual connection has to be inside a romantic connection, that is inside a marriage itself. Sex and marriage is interlinked into such an extent that anything beyond if sex is talked about beyond marriage, beyond the scope of marriage, it suddenly becomes an odd one out. It suddenly becomes something bad. So ethical slut basically talks about how open we can be about our sexuality, about our romantic relationships. There is there is another book called Tell Me What You Want, which talks about sexual fantasies. I just before this book I read that book, and from that book I came to this book actually. From that book I got the idea that is this whole idea of this polyamory. Actually, not from the book. This whole idea of polyamory is very evident in the world. It has been practiced before, but in India, actually, in 1600s and all, if you look at the history, Nair women used to observe Nair women, Nair, the sect, the cultural sect or caste sect called Nairs. The women among them or the men among them they used to actually follow this polyamory thing. In right now, the only thing that is socially acceptable, at least in some religions like in Islam and all, is polygyny. Polygyny means a person having multiple partners, female partners. But the same thing, if a female is doing, if she is having more than one romantic partner, she suddenly becomes a slut. What they have done, these authors have done, is they have owned that word slut. They're taking it upon themselves and they're demystifying it. They're explaining to you how you can be a person who is ethically a slut. That that applies to the male and the female here. So this is a it's like the book is actually about how you can be more free about your love. It can be easily told like that. This is not something against monogamy, uh, where like usually what is happening right now is somebody uh, uh, in India especially, the most prominent form of cultural norm is arranged marriage, where the family itself finds the bride and groom. They make them come together. uh, we have a lot of matrimony sites, we do know that. I have nothing against them. But usually it's an arrangement more than a what do you say, it's not about choice most of the time in India. It's about at least up to an extent, marriage is almost like a forceful way of doing something that has to be naturally done. Okay, like especially to the females, like after some age, like maybe 22, 23, if she's not getting married, then she is under tremendous pressure. And even the males also, they after 30, if you're going for a what do you say, arranged marriage culture, it is very difficult to get for a male to get a female. And there are a lot of matrimonial sites, there are a lot of marriages going on, and monogamy is thriving. And a lot of monogamous marriages are working really wonderful, really well. That is really good. So this book is not about or not against monogamy. What it talks about is like that is the only way. There are other ways. Especially here they are talking about polyamory. Polyamory is being polyamorous means not just means that like one person has to have a sexual relationship with multiple partners. Not that. It's all about being in love with multiple persons at the same time, having quality relationships. And how we can become more moral in that. Okay, basically it talks about the importance of communication between partners. And usually what happens is, what I have understood, maybe I'm wrong here, most of the time cheating happens. That is uh, non-consensual non-monogamy, scientifically can be called as. That means a person or a male or a female who is in the relationship will not talk about the other guy or the other girl that is inadvertently coming into their relationship. And he or she will keep on meeting them, maybe having sexual relations starting. They may start having physical contact with them, and this information will not be given to the other person. And she or he might find out at a later stage this is happening, and there will be a lot of hard feelings. They might get a divorce or they might come together. Usually cheating happens. That's why cheating happens. It becomes a very negative thing. So that's not what they are talking about here. They're talking about new relationships. That is actually the two partners are talking about a new relationship. They are finding out what works and what doesn't work. The primary relationship is still going on, and actually it's all about finding new avenues to love. They're simply saying that in India, usually now, not only in India, all over, when you look at it, there is something called as the soulmate concept. Like there will be a person who is completely made for you, completely fit for you. Like you will fit like a glove and a hand, or a key and a lock. Everything fits together, and you're completely fine together. Sexually, you are fine. Mentally, spiritually, whatever, you are fine. The thing is, we might not be, and that is okay. Okay, but still there might be love. And when you are opening up, when you are becoming older, when you are living with a person for some time, you may find parts of you that you may not have realized there is there, and that new parts may not fit together with this your current partner. Same thing can happen to that partner too. That time, both of you might need other persons to fit in, other persons to share something. And when that happens, and when you really want that, if you really want that, if you can talk about that your partner, if the partner understands, and if both of you have a common understanding is about what is happening, what is not happening, what has to happen, what must not happen, then it suddenly becomes another beautiful relationship, and actually it strengthens your primary relationship. So that's what this whole ethical slut argument is about. So that kind of relationships are already going on. Most of the time they might not talk about it because what do you say, so-called, it doesn't come to so-called normal. Normal is a very abnormal word because most of the time what normal is, most of the time that is, as I've told you, that is abnormal. So right now, in lot of married relationships, in lot of married relationships, there are this cheating is going on, and cheating is a very bad way to live because you are breaking the trust with the other person, and you are inadvertently that is going to lead a lot of bad humor between those persons. So if you read the book, if you're already into that kind of relationship, and if you want to talk to your partner about your relationship, if you feel like you have to open up to read it, set things right, you can read this book. It's all about how you can communicate. And if you're into a married relationship, and you feel like some spark is missing, and you saw another person, another beautiful person, not in the physically beautiful. There are other ways of being beautiful. I'm not saying that physically you must not be beautiful, but there can be other persons who really attracts you just because of their nature, their character, and you might feel like getting really connected with them. And usually in right now what I'm talking about, if that person is from another sex, usually what happens is your partner may look at it in a very strange way, like what is happening. So but you might also have some more than friendly feeling towards them. And if you want to talk about it, if you feel like you have to talk about it, then how to talk about that kind of things, that's what this book explains. So it doesn't have to be always that your relationship has to end in a divorce and you have to go for a bad ending. It's not like that. Divorces do happen. Sometimes good things do come to an end. We cannot help with that. But most of the time, if you really sit and talk, dialogue really helps. So if you're somebody who is going through that kind of difficult situations, you can read this book. If you're somebody who is already thinking about open relationships, if you are in that kind of a mindset, you have to really read this book, because that is going to really help you. If you're already into an open relationship, there are persons like that. I personally know some of them. So if you're already into that, you can just read this to better your relationship. And if you're a person who believes in staunch monogamy is the best, that's also okay. You can just read it to understand that other kinds of relationships also do exist, can coexist. As I've told you, in India this has been happening. If you go to our history, polyamory was a common thing. The European British colonialism brought out their Elizabethan or Victorian thoughts also to here, their morality, their very narrow worldview about how a girl has to be, how she has to be really in their way modest. That kind of ideas they brought here, and that's how actually our vibrant culture of polyamory was really cut down here. So right now India, at least we are in name, we are free. This is a high time that we really free our thoughts too. We think about new avenues. So read about it, think about it. If you feel like, talk to your partner about it, because talking always helps. Dialogue always helps. So it is written in a very beautiful language. Even if you are somebody who doesn't want to know anything about polyamory, also you can read it. You can read this because it has some beautiful ideas about how we can start a conversation, how we can really find love in very normal circumstances. Okay, so please do read the book. If you like my content, like, share, subscribe, and if you want to get notifications, please press the bell icon. Okay, thank you for listening. Hope you are safe. Stay safe.